Hi and welcome to the first filming in my new workshop. I hope you enjoy the series that I'm going to be filming for you. I'm going to go right back to basics to start off with. For those people who really don't know where to start, I can remember so clearly starting Polymer Clay and thinking, what do I need to buy? And I have so many products now all around me that I probably haven't used for so long. So there's also some other things that you'll find around the house that you probably think, that's really useful, I should have a go at that. So I'm going to take you through right back from basics to explain to you what I feel to be a really good kit for your first Polymer Clay experience. I hope you enjoy it. Hi and welcome to, this is the basics, how to set up your little workspace and what you need to do Polymer Clay. So here is a really lovely printed craft tile. This has all different increments and angles that you can cut your clay on, but you don't necessarily need one of these. What you can use is a tile that perhaps you've got left over from various projects in your house, but can you see this one has a ripple effect on it? Do try and get tiles that are completely flat, otherwise your pendants won't be completely flat. You might not notice it that much, but it makes it a lot better if you've actually got a perfectly flat tile. The nice thing about tiles is because they've been fired, you can make your design on them and lift it and put it in the oven, where of course you can't with these printed tiles. They're just too big to get in the oven and the backing would melt anyway. And another option would be to use a piece of toughened glass. Make sure it is toughened glass. And you can, if you want, like these increments or these little grid lines, to use a laminated piece of graph paper that you can print off free of charge from the internet, pop some little, some tack or a little bit of polymer clay on each corner, so when you put it on your work surface and you start rolling, it's not going to move. And that is a perfectly acceptable work surface and very neat and tidy, and you can put that away in a workbox very, very easily. So that's your work surface. One other thing you can use, of course, is this silicone sheet. It's called a clay mat. Now you can buy this in all sorts of places. This one, particular one, is a Sculpey one, but you can buy this in all sorts of places. And you can cut this into little rectangles. You can get a lot out of this roll. The nice thing about this is that if you're teaching, you can cut this into lots of different rectangles, give each student a tiny piece, and then you don't need to bother about tiles. And you know you can get them out, and you can get a lot of them into an oven if you're teaching. So that's really useful actually. Now, when you've got your clay, how do you roll it out? Well, we'll get on to things like clay rollers and pasta machines at a later date, but to start off with, you need a nice roller. This is an acrylic roller, which is quite heavy actually, and the heavier it is, the better, quite honestly, because it does flatten your designs and make them nice and neat and tidy. Now, to cut your clay, you will need some blades. Now, you've got one that's really, really flexible, and this one you can make different designs with and cut out different shapes. This one is a stiff blade, and you can't bend it quite so much. They normally come in a pack with a corrugated blade as well, which is great for when you're starting to do different designs and shapes. And you also get this little rubber edge to them, and that just stores your blades nice and neat and tidy, so when you put your hand in your work box, you're not going to cut your fingers. So you've got your roller, you've got your blades. There's a couple of other things which I found really useful. You can buy really expensive needle tools and what have you, but these are just cocktail sticks. They're ideal for all sorts of things, for getting clay out of cutters when they're really, really fine, or to lift pieces, or just make patterns, to be honest, in your clay. And a knitting needle, doesn't matter what size, but it's nice and cold, and because it's metal, it won't stick to things. This is good for using for cores of beads if you want to use really thick cord, but also it's nice to be able to roll along the side of your pendant to get rid of any cracks and fingerprints, etc. Ideal. I use that so much with my clay. Really useful. Talking about fingerprints, this is something else that you will need. You will need something like cling film or greaseproof paper, or parchment paper sometimes it's called. Those are ideal for putting on top of your finished designs to rub with your finger to get out any fingerprints or joins in your design. Now, one other thing I'd probably invest in is something to bake on. Now, you can use baking trays, etc. But if you're doing flat pendants, get yourself some card, not A4 paper, but card. If you bake your items on a piece of card, you don't get that shiny edge, and you'll find that in your polymer clay journey, you'll find that a lot. If you bake onto a metal tray, when you take your piece out of the oven, it will have a shiny edge to it, and this stops that, which means you don't have to sand it, which I'm all in favour of. So that is your basic kit really. You've got something to bake on, you have something to get out all of the fingerprints and lines, you've got your little cocktail sticks to help you remove from cutters, you've got your knitting needle, which is always useful, you've got your 2 blades, your corrugated blade and your roller, and of course something to bake on. And that really is your basic kit. If you're starting out in polymer clay, that's what you're going to need.